Hello everybody, my name is Chris and this will be my review for The Nun 2. Well, the Conjuring universe never ends, it looks like, and it has been a while for the Conjuring series and even longer for The Nun. This one is set in 1956 in France, where a priest is murdered and evil is spreading, and of course Sister Irene, played by Thaisa Flaminga, is back. This also stars Bonnie Irons, of course, as the nun, and Storm Ree. And I think this is gonna tie really closely in with the last one as a show, because that's where Sister Irene does our introduction to her, but also because Maurice, who is the key to all of this, he's mentioned in the cast list, and I'll cut this out if this is meant to be a spoiler, but I'm very excited to see it and keep the numb scary. Of course, Bonnie Evans, who plays VALAK, and her bone structure is fantastic. And but there are any more scares to be had? Is there anything else scary about the nun? We've seen her attack people over and over, and we see her grab people, and we've seen a jump scare. And is there any mystery left in her lore? And that is what is plotting that. So I'm back and I watched The Nun, and I will say that I went into this film, I won't say like with high expectation, but I kind of have like an idea what I was getting into. And just rewatching the Conjuring films and The Nun before this, and I thought it was going to be up to kind of the same standards, but for me it didn't really I didn't fully enjoy this one. It was fine for what it was, but I think I had more of an expectation where we're finally going to get like this backstory, and it turned into more of this convoluted journey that was just kind of a tackle onto the franchise, and it felt very different to the other films within this franchise. I guess it reminded me of anything more like the last Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, where it felt like a messy story for minimal payoff. I won't say this film has minimal payoff, though in terms of the action and gore and reviews, there is a lot of The Nun, and The Nun is all over here from the start to the end, and you see more to The Nun than you do in any of the Conjuring universe or Nun films. But in this film is all about Maurice, which I was actually really surprised by. I had seen in the teaser trailer, and I think I saw a pretty long trailer for this one, and actually about the school where a lot of this takes place, and I knew it was also about Sister Irene, but I was really surprised to learn that it was just following on a really Maurice story where it left off in the second one, in the first one, and the film follows Marie a couple years later, and what he's doing now, he's working on a school, and then at the same time Irene gets where the evil is still afoot, and is copying the same pattern as it did in the first Nun movie, and from there it all falls into place, and it does rely primarily on Sister Irene's character, but I'm really glad they added Storm Ree's character here as Sister Deborah, because she just broke her up, and even though it felt like they were kind of trying to fit some dynamic, like someone for Sister ring to like bounce off, and someone who's kind of funny, and he has like kind of a shaky fate and an interesting backstory, and it did feel forced in that respect, but I think it was needed because a lot of the characters they were given are very stereotypical, and knowing just the formula by now, it felt like there were not really any surprises at all, and it was all down to just seeing cool shots of the nun, which you do see, and I definitely jump on my seat a couple of times. But I won't say any of that was more impressive than what they did with the other special effects in terms of, I guess, once they like mock holiness, which is basically what the nun is about, because the idea of the VALAK hides within the demons, hides within the nun, is meant to be these monkey nuns, and some really cool scenes. I think especially like the opening scene, I really enjoy seeing that, like the epicness, because this film was actually filmed, or part of it was filmed in an abandoned church in France, and I mean it's beautiful, the setting is beautiful, but unlike the first nun movie, I felt like the nun lighting wasn't very dynamic, and it was just, I don't know if they were trying to really show the period it was setting, but it was all kind of a flat, and a beautiful building with such a like a strong architecture and texture, which they do show in some parts. They really just don't use interesting lighting to fill up those space, make it look deep and dark, and like, you know, it's so scary when you are in a dark abandoned building. I guess in this case it's not abandoned, but you know, in a dark school, and it just, you know, it felt very small and claustrophobic, and not in a scary way, in a way that the set is fake when it's real. So I wasn't a fan of the way it looked, or just in terms of like the color grading and lighting. I just thought that it should have really leaned into the dark shadows and contrast, because that is what the nun is, you know, is the white and black and jewelry is stones, and the whole thing is that she has these yellow eyes, or whatever you want to call it, and has those yellow eyes, and it felt like they shy away from that and try to make it look like, you know, a vintage piece. And I felt when everything was kind of mooching together, and they were going through the motions of, okay, now they will get there, so now they have to do this to try and vanquish this demon. And just will have, like, if it was looking particularly beautiful, the sets here, because some of the ideas of how they portray evilness, and I know the scares, and those were throughout the certain degrees, I just felt like that was kind of a lacking. What I did find myself enjoying was the sound design, not much the music, but just all the different sounds throughout the buildings, because that is what it has this vibe and atmosphere. I could hear the wind whistling through the cracks and stuff. When it wasn't a scary scene, it always has played that in the background when people were talking. I really enjoyed that, and it really puts you in that spot. But I feel like the rest didn't live up to that, and I felt like it was missing the law here because it touches of the motive of VALAK, but it doesn't really go into backstory. There's also a mid-credit scene, not very long, but I feel like a lot of inconsistency with this one, and like it didn't quite make sense. Overall, it's your standard jump scare film, and is founded deeply in religious imagery. So if you like that kind of thing, I think you're going to enjoy that. But I don't think it's a very compelling story that they chosen here, and I wish there was more. And that's saying something for someone who didn't actually mind The Nun. I don't hate The Nun. I know a lot of people didn't like that movie, but I think it was fun for what it is, and it was not that bad. It had its moments, but yes, I think that in some parts I'll say that it's better than the first one, but it's still like not very good. So I think this one, of course, when you're in the theater, the jump scares and all that, I think it was best. But things, and you shall, if you want to check this one out, I think you can wait to streaming or rent it or buy it on digital. It's not like a must see, especially for the franchise. So that's my review for The Nun 2. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.